So as we all know, discussion on rape cannot be overflogged or emphasized, remains prevalent amongst us here. Top-line results have revealed that almost 7 in 10 adult Nigerians, about 67%, think there's a high prevalence of high rape in Nigeria, while 3 in 10, about 31% personality, know someone who was a victim of child rape in their local communities. Joining us on the show is one of Nigeria's top legal practitioners and a women's rights activist, Mrs. Fumi Falana. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you, Mariam. It's my pleasure.
Also, we have with us the convener, Symposium Girl Child Wise Walk, Emike Oyemade. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you can join the conversation on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. Recently, YK's back to school, the
school reunion.
School reunion that you had, where this discussion on rape came, and where you had to have a conversation with young ladies, and it was obvious that this thing is in our society every single day. Girls are going through this, and I also refer to the fact that even Uwa, who was a member of our show, at some point had an event, and where she was going to schools, and these kids were telling her in confidence things happening within their homes, their fathers, their uncles, even lesbianism going on with kids. These kids are, and we bring praise for what we're here almost every time to teach us how to do parenting. So you are faced with this every day. You see this every day. I'd like you, before we get into the legal angle of how the courts or the legal can give us a redress to this, I want you to share a bit of experience in talking to young girls. What causes this? What are the circumstances in which they find themselves in this situation of rape?
Thank you very much. I think that it starts from parenting, really. That's where it starts from. And when we talk about parenting, it's not just about having children. People plan to get married, but not many people plan to have children. And planning to have children is not just giving birth. It's planning how you're going to take care of these children. That has to be discussed, what they will be exposed to, how you want to bring them up is also very important. Now, why most parents have not been able to achieve how they bring up their children is because they themselves have issues. For instance, a woman who was maybe raped when she was young and she's yet to be whole cannot teach a child how to avoid sexual abuse. Not just teach the child, cannot even help that child avoid sexual abuse. And then fathers generally run from teaching their children also about sexual abuse. We had a program early this year. It was supposed to be between daughters and fathers. First, we did a survey. There were many fathers who didn't want to come with their daughter. We didn't want the moms to come. We just wanted fathers to come with your daughter from age to 18,
right.
Age 5 to 18. Right. But there were many fathers who just felt 5 years, I can't talk to my daughter at 5 years about sex. And the question is, why don't you want to? But the possibility is that in that same home, a neighbor can be abusing the child.
Okay, because of
we're
time.
not talking about the issues.
No, we're not. The core issue has not been addressed.
I want you to talk to our parents on things you've heard, things you've seen, because they need to understand the circumstances that causes this thing sometimes within the homes. Yes, you're not whole. Yes, you need to be equipped by experts on how to do this. But what have we done to put ourselves in this situation?
Now, one of the things that I think most parents have done is to give transfer their responsibilities to other people, like their teachers, the teachers at school, to nannies, to in-laws, right. To all other people.
You know what? I get you. I get giving your responsibility, but we now have a situation where the perpetrators of this crime are the fathers, sometimes the mothers. Where do these children go? The very people who are meant to protect you, the very people who are meant to keep you safe.
Ms. Falana on this area, because
yes, thank you very much. I also agree with her to an extent, but I want us to also look at this other aspect of the Africanness of the whole issue. In our society, the idea of uncle, my stepbrother stays with me, my half-sister, half-brothers. And so we should, as parents, let our children, well, the girl children, know that that uncle could also be dangerous to you. Although living in the same compound, you also must know how to comport yourself. It is not everybody, every male around that you should allow them to call uncle. Let him be called Mr. It's, of course, you will say it's un-African.
Well, how do you handle
but you
daddy
put,
when it's daddy, when it's not uncle now, it's father, your own father?
yes, you also teach them to know the potential dangerous adults, the way they look at you. And so let your child know that she should not sit on the lap of a man. A man should not put her on his lap. A man should also not touch you anyhow. We should begin to teach them as they grow that you are a woman, you are going to be a woman, you are a girl. And so there are ways, there are some places around you that are a man. So when you see a man that is looking at you surreptitiously, you should take a sensible flight.
Okay, so most of the time when we talk about rape, we discuss it from the perspective of the girl getting raped. I have 3 boys, and I've spoken at events through my church, and I realized that a lot of boys, their first ever sexual experience is with nannies, aunties, neighbors that are much older than them, and it is also very prevalent. But we're not getting enough information on how to protect our boys too, and it's to you. How do we protect our boys? How do we get them away? We know that the girl shouldn't sit down, but what should the boy do?
And to just help you out there, so some of the boys actually get sodomized.
Yes.
So it's not
So
just
not just
women
by-
do it, yes.
yes.
Which
By
is
men
even,
doing it
for
to
me,
everything.
an even bigger
I think the idea also should be that we should encourage them to speak out. So if he or she is close to a parent, if another parent is becoming unreasonable, you must be able to give them a very free environment. As a matter of fact, it is their right under the Child's Rights Act to have freedom of expression. Let them have an environment of friendliness in the home. They must be able to tell you the changes that is happening in her body or whoever is close to him.
Let me get your own views on what Tokwe asks on the boy child.
Now, one of the things mentioned earlier is when we're teaching our children about sex, sexual abuse and all of this, we must be able to draw a line, that thin line between creating fear and suspicions in the heart of the child. Because most of the time, what people do is you just create unnecessary suspicion in such a way that even if the person doesn't have that kind of intention, the child begins to just suspect everybody around them. So it must start from first teaching the child and not pointing fingers that this is what this person can do, but you are telling the child this is the possibility and not just everybody.
My daughter, she's so friendly. She likes to hug everybody. My daughter was complaining just this morning. This way is gone. Everybody's hug. Hey, auntie. You know, that kind of. So I'm trying to make her understand that it's okay to hug, but she needs to be able to know how, when to draw the line.
That's it. So you are balancing it. What parents need to do is balance it. If you don't balance it, the child, you even create the kind of fear that can bring about low self-esteem in that child. Now, talking about the boy child is also abused. We go to schools, and we go to only boys' school, and we see boys who are abused by other boys and nannies as well. Now, the same way you teach the girl child is the same way you teach the boy child. The difference is that I think parents need to stop telling the boy, stop behaving like a girl. Because when you do that, the boy now wants to man up. And so when something is going wrong, he doesn't want to behave like a girl, so he wants to keep it. Now, what exactly do you mean when you tell your son, stop behaving like a girl? You are indirectly saying a girl is a weakling.
I know I wanted us to go into sexual education, but I think we'll bring in other experts for that some other time. But because I want you to really help us to share some stories that you've heard in your own expertise. Because I want Mrs. Falana to also help us understand the legal angles. What can we do? What can the law do to help to help rescue some of these children from these families? But share one of it, because I know YK met you when she went for an event. So I would like you to just share the stories for our viewers.
Okay, in that event, it was an all-girls event, and then after talking, we requested that they write their questions so they can be detailed and free. And we got about 42 questions. And 8 of those girls were having constant sexual relationship with their father. And the sad part of it is about 5 of them is to the knowledge of the mom. Now, 2 of those 5, they've had abortions aided by the mom, you know, and then one of them, she says she wants to die because being abused by the father, my mother knows about it. I don't have anywhere else to go. I can't run anywhere. And I just think that death is the only way to get out of this situation.
Right, Mrs. Falana, these things happen. We are hearing these stories.
Yes.
Because if we can talk about, oh, teach your children, to teach this. But there are people that are in it already. What can you do? What can the law do to protect and help these people?
Yeah, unfortunately, people don't take the benefits of the law. But the law also is there to protect. Like the example she just gave, the girl can be protected by the state. But the problem is people will not speak out. Such a girl can be taken away from the environment. The court will give an order to ask that the girl be taken to the home where she will be monitored and she will continue her education. Now, but we have also discovered that parents believe it's a stigma. And so why should I let people know what is happening? But if we do not prosecute offenders, there will be no deterrence. We also must get people prosecuted, let them go to jail so that others will learn their lessons. But the environment is such that people want to hide it. Okay, my daughter may find it difficult to get a husband. Who says that? You, of course, do not have to let people, because information dies after some time. Right. Nobody is going to remember that in about 2-3
Emike, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, ma. Emike has had, she's married, and she has had the experience of sexual abuse. So I would love for her to share her own story so that people will know that it's not a sin. You can get married.
Yes.
And
have a life.
And you can have a life. So please.
I would say that, well, now that I'm an adult, I used to blame my mom because she was with us most of the time. I don't blame anybody anymore for it because I was first violated right under her nose, and by somebody that she's very familiar with, that she called her brother, but he wasn't her brother anyway. And then she saw this young man as somebody harmless, and every time she had to go out, so she would tell him to look after us. And so his way of looking after us was to abuse me. Now, because before that point in time, I didn't have a good relationship with my mom. My mom was a very strict person. And when I started my marriage cycle, when I started noticing changes in my body, she wasn't the first person that I talked to. And so when this now happened, I just couldn't also talk to her. Now, what happened after that, because I didn't talk to her, it also opened me up for other abuses. For a long time. So what I discovered even in adulthood is that if you don't speak up when you are abused, the tendency that you will abuse again, would happen, and then it continued like that.
You see, one of my frustrations with all these commissioners of women or women affairs, women something, they always gather themselves together to go and eat dinner somewhere. There are real issues that they are not really addressing. True. Because I would expect that a women's commission would do some kind of intervention to schools such that the girls, the children, the boys know that the law is available to help them. So aside from the counseling you're getting for education, there's a counseling that, listen, if you have been abused in any shape or fashion, the law, we are here to protect your interests. So the kids know, and they have an option. That girl, that her father is raping her, and her mother is aware, making this and doing abortions for her, would know that the counselor came to our school and said that I can go to XYZ.
Sadly, we still have a knowledge gap, a very huge knowledge gap, and we not in Lagos. We are privileged because we have this some of these NGOs that go to schools and all that, but there are places across Nigeria that don't have that same privilege, and they are suffering this.
Of education,
TV might be the only way they'll get to hear about this. But what we keep saying is ability for an environment that allows children to speak up. And I think that is very, very important. In school, at home, environments to allow the child to speak up.
And Tokwe, you're right. The thing with Nigeria is that sometimes just asking the question about sex is enough to get you stigmatized. Why are you even thinking like that in the first place? So a lot of children are afraid to even ask you just the simplest questions of how sex works and their body changes.
Ms. Lava, let me come to you because I want you to... Yes, go ahead.
I should go further to have a proper conviction. And this is also where people fail in prosecuting. You must, right from the time it occurred, make sure that you preserve the primary evidence. And that is the underpants. Most of the time when this happens, nobody bothers about that. In fact, they don't get to know, they don't get to tell anybody. But the underpants must be preserved because it is the fluid from the underpants that will be taken as evidence, primary evidence. And so we also employ the victim not to have a bath. Because we're going to take the specimen. Most people do not know. They will say, go straight and report to the police. There where again, the police often compromise when we get there. And that is another area we should look at.
What's the government doing to help people when a station police station is compromised? So you are telling the girl or a boy that if anything happens, keep your underpants or give. When the police is compromised,
Lagos is really lucky. Yes. Legally, we have hospitals in Lagos. They have rape kits. That's
we have even have human rights. We have human rights departments in police stations.
Yeah. So
do you have
so one of the things
I think we're very privileged in Lagos. I'll tell you because I went somewhere
like other places.
Yes, I went somewhere recently. I was talking about this thing. It was like I was speaking Greek. How do you say that a 14-year-old girl is having sex and there's something bad about that? In fact, I had a 14-year-old boy who challenged me to stop talking. Why? Because I said that for a girl having sex at 14, even if she seemed to consent to it, is sexual abuse. But he said no, that's not correct.
This country.
Yes. So if we talk about sexual abuse, these things, Lagos, I would say, is doing a lot, even though the rate of abuse has increased by 200%, different from what it was last year.
Are you sure it's the rate of abuse or the rate of information reports?
The reported cases, I mean.
Reported cases.
But in some other places, it's worse than it is.
Perhaps I should also mention this, because you mentioned the women affairs. The law, the child rights law, actually specifies that a body must be set up. And in Lagos, there is a body, but I'm not sure if they are doing anything.
Right.
In other places, where there are child rights law in other places. But specifically, I'm talking about Lagos. They are expected to have a body that moves around to know whether these laws are being complied with. So such body is given the power to pick up such a girl or such a boy, whichever case the case may be, and rehabilitate.
Let's take a few tweets. Mariam, want to take some?
Yes. Zeal says the rate of rape all over the world is 95% involvement of the male child compared to the girl child. So parents have to continually put it up to the male child from infant that rape is the highest practice of wickedness. My name is Pablo says, most boys who happen to have been sexually molested by women feel ashamed to speak out because of the stereotypical question, did you not enjoy it? It's very sad because cases of boys who have been sexually molested by women are not taken seriously.
Right.
This woman talks about, what if a woman, Slim Jim, what if a woman was raped by her husband and both families, that's both the husband and wife's family, are blaming her for not giving her husband sex as the reason? What should she do?
There's so many questions. We can't even exhaust these questions. Let me come to the audience and take a few. Okay, well, Waike had a question.
Because you said you should go to if you're raped, keep the evidence. In the case of a child who cannot go to the hospital with evidence, who is constantly raped by her father, there has to be a body that she can go to. There has to be somewhere. Do you offer that assistance for children? Is there somewhere, a number they can call? Is there anything that they can do?
As a matter of fact, in Lagos State, they have the sexual offences response team. Then we have a number.
And they are very active.
Very active.
They are very.
They have a number of. There are a number of NGOs. My own NGO, Women Empowerment and Legal Aid. That's what we do. And on a daily basis, perhaps I should also mention that on a daily basis, we get a call. I mean, calls from not less than 10, an average of 10 people. Women who have been driven out by their husband, children who have been abandoned, children who are undergoing sexual harassment. So they know
we need to get these numbers out. You know what? We need to find a way to get those numbers considered.
So some of the times we advertise these numbers. Yes, like we are on LTV and we advertise.
Let me take a few comments from our audience because we have very little time left. Let's take a few comments or questions. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my question goes to what Miriam said. She said we should educate our children, especially the female child, not to sit on laps of uncles, brothers, friends. Now, this thing is happening in our own house, which is the father. So they would deprive the girl child not to play with the father, or the father should not play with his or her own child. Number two, now we're talking about rapists now. What do we do to stop this mess?
Okay,
Through that's
so
the rapist.
issue of father-girl relationship.
You know, say the girl, she shouldn't sit on the...
Do we tell your father?
Of course you can. And that is also why the mother should be very vigilant. When you'll be very vigilant. That is the hard fact, but you must be very vigilant. When you notice that your husband now, or the father, is placed in such a way that you think...
But there's this perception that fathers are closer to their daughters. So
you must be vigilant, and that is why you must be close to her. You begin to ask questions.
No, you have to... I
must ask questions.
The advice, because if you tell me that my daughter should not sit on her father's lap,
you ask questions.
She's not saying you should ask. She's saying that observe. When you see
you should be vigilant.
That there's something fishy about the positioning.
Let me take one more comment from the audience. Go ahead, very quickly. Very quickly, please. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Caleb Olonisola. I just have some precautions comments that we can just take. Like, time factor. A young lady that is passing his adolescence stage, there should be a time that she should come into the house. Not that she will stay outside up to like 10, 9 p.m. the night. Like my own family, my dad regulates my young sister's time to come in. By 7, it should be in. Whatever what they are doing.
Thank you for that, boy.
I think the second one, I still have to...
There must be boundaries.
Dressing sense. I happen to be a student of one of the university in Lagos State, and at night the way they dress in hostel is so barbaric.
Okay, thank you. We get the point.
I'm so happy because this is the burden of guilt that's always put on the victim. We need to have conversations where people, even before rape happens, for the rapist, before you get that mindset to think that it's about how someone else is dressing or how late that person is out, you yourself should not look at someone and think this is someone that is available for me to rape. We need to have those sort of conversations with
and that's a whole different show. We can't talk about that because that's a major issue. That issue keeps coming up because of your dressing, because of how you look, because of
the dressing of the man as well.
So we have to run off. But I want you to touch on one thing before we go.
Yes.
A woman is in a marriage that her husband is raping her child. What can that woman do?
Yeah, this is also what happens very regularly.
Right.
It is, I don't want to speak out because of the stigma. I don't want, in fact, there was a particular woman whose husband was constantly raping the stepdaughter. And she came and she told us, I noticed this, but I don't want to lose my marriage. It is our advice that, please, when such is, and most of the time, it is either they're economically independent.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we have to run off. So what should she do? She should speak out and because of the interest of the girl, please report. Okay. Report the case. It is important to report the case. We have to wrap up. We cannot exhaust this conversation. We are going to have to do a series. Okay, we're going to bring you back. We're going to continue this for a few weeks because people need that. We need to close the gap in the education on this area.